Hello. You probably clicked on this video because you want to beat Mentor Roulette and get the reward at the end, which is this dumb mount right here. It's a decent looking mount, I guess, but it's a reward nonetheless. I'm gonna talk about some bullet points of like what you should do, what class you should play, and what players to avoid in general. The thing I would start off with though is that open up Duty Finder, click the cogwheel, and checkmark the join party in progress. But having that on, if you get a party that's in prog, you can leave if you don't like the dungeon. It's like a get out of jail free card. It's really convenient. I highly recommend it. After that, if you don't speak the corresponding languages, you should also turn them off. Minimizing the chances of getting a German or a French player, at least here in the EU, is massive because the language barrier is no joke. If they don't speak English, whatever you tell them is not gonna go through them at all. So just throw that idea out of the window. It's not worth mentoring them. Quotation mark mentoring. Other than that, I highly recommend playing Gunbreaker. Gunbreaker is so beyond broken at almost any level that you can just solo the dungeon, or raid, or like trial as well. Like, it's actually ridiculous how strong it is. Doing this combo right here, like 1 and 2, like over and over, there's barely anything in the game that can out-damage it, especially if you combine it with Aurora and potions. But if you don't have Gunbreaker, just play any tank. Or if you don't have a tank, just play healer. If you play Astrology and a Scholar, Whiteman is kind of trash for this. If you're gonna play a shield, and that in turn makes it so you can ignore a mechanic, that's one less mechanic that the rest of the raid has to worry about. Especially because like no one knows how to do mechanics in this game regardless. So that's a really powerful tool. Other than that, you can also just solo the dungeon as a healer too. It doesn't matter, like, you're a one-man army. That's the mindset you need to have to do Mentor Roulette. If you can solo the dungeon yourself, you're gonna have a bad time. Other than that, let's say you get Extreme Dungeon. You might as well just give it one pull. And if the other player seems incompetent, just leave the dungeon. It's not worth it. Unless you actually speak up and ask them, do you want to know what the mechanic did? And no one responds, just leave. It's not worth at all. Players like that, it's not worth carrying, trust me. Like, there are people I'll go over and beyond for just to get my clear. But if you get a steamed broccoli that refuses to communicate, fuck that, dude. That is not worth your time at all. That's it. What else can I even talk about? Like, it essentially just boils down to play a tank, especially Gunbreaker. Abuse the Q system as much as possible. Try to get as many guild heads as possible. Like, if you get a guild head, oh my god, you're just gonna clap, dude. It's the best thing ever. But you're a mentor. You're supposed to help people. If people are looking for help, they'll find it, no problem at all. But people don't care in this game. People genuinely do not care what you think or what you offer to them. Telling people to do a basic AoE, they'll just call it elitist. It doesn't matter. Unless you get the 0.1% player. Speaking of AoE, if you get a pretty bad group, I highly recommend just make a macro. Like, I have a macro for almost every class now that does like the basic AoE rotation, basic single target rotation as well. Like, it will genuinely help you. Like, if you get to the point where you have a bad grip and they just use the macros. If you have a second monitor, just play a different game on the second monitor. Like, it helps so much with the mentality. Like, it's no reason to get upset at other players or like at the game, because bad players will be bad. There's nothing wrong with that. There's not real much you can do with it. Like, the more you try to mentor them, the more you'll just get mad at yourself. And it's generally not worth it at all. That being said, that's pretty much it, really. Just try to solo the dungeon. Be a one-man army. You'll be surprised over how much bullshit you can get away with as a tank or a healer. As a DPS, you're kind of fucked. Unless you play ranged, then you can abuse the UI of the mobs. But that's essentially it. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.